everyone, welcome to the self-knowledge lectures. Today we are having the lecture number 48. Welcome to the Okay, everything is fine with the audio. We are having the lecture number 48 of the phase A of the self-knowledge course that consists of 50 lectures. That means that next week we are seeing the end of this cycle of 50 self-knowledge lectures. And today we are going to see a very simple but a very important lecture, since in this one we are going to give some guidelines on how to correctly pronounce the mantras to achieve conscious astral projection or astral unfolding. Okay? So let me check everything's okay here and let's start. If you have any question, remember that you can leave your questions down there in the comment box and I will be solving any question that you have, okay? And well, what are mantras? Mantras are words of power whose sound generates specific vibrations in our body. There are mantras for different purposes. Today we are going to talk about some mantras that we can use to speed up the process of detachment of our astral body from our physical body, so that we are able to become aware of this process of detachment when we are falling asleep, and we can take advantage of it to get up already unfolded from our bed and move at will in the fifth dimension of nature or astral world. Already in lecture number 3 of this self-knowledge course on the phase A, we talk extensively about the astral projection. And in the lecture 37, we saw a very interesting technique to achieve conscious astral projection using the law of correspondences. So today we are going to focus directly on what the mantralization technique is. But first, we are going to talk briefly about what is astral projection, to enter into context, and so that if someone has not seen those previous lectures, then they at least know what is astral projection about. So when we talk about astral projection, we are talking about taking out an interior double or soul, which is a body exactly the same as the physical one, but that is not of a cellular nature, like the physical, right? But is of a molecular nature. And being this body of a lighter nature, it can float, it can fly, it can stretch a lot. We can, with this astral body, we can cross surfaces, like walls, for example, etc. But what is really important is that we understand that we are not, what we are talking about here is not anything paranormal, not any metaphysical thing or strange phenomenon, or we are talking about something that only happens to some people in particular. No. Actually, we are talking about a completely natural phenomenon that happens to each one of us whenever our physical body falls asleep, as it is a normal part of our biological and psychological functioning, which is dreaming. So when the physical body falls asleep, it is recharged by the vital part. But this process is wouldn't be possible. Sorry. Allow me just a second. I am sorry. This process of recharging our physical body from our vital body wouldn't be possible if our cycle or soul didn't leave the physical body to move in the fifth dimension, because our mind has this unstoppable train of thoughts and emotion, and if this remains within the physical body, it couldn't be recharged. So this is totally necessary and normal. The physical body and the consciousness of the physical body remain in bed, and the soul fled in the astral body comes out, and we move with the consciousness of the astral body, but we are always go to be connected to our physical body by the silver cord, which is like an energetical thread, practically unbreakable, because it can only be caught by the angel of death at the moment in which the person disincarnates. And through this cord, the physical body receives information from the astral body, such as the sensations that we experience on that plane, such as when we talk about the case of the nocturnal emissions, remember in the lecture 46. And at the same time, the astral body, through this cord, receives information from the physical one. And if someone calls us or touches, or the alarm of our cell phone rings, or any activity of the physical plane that calls us to return, what we call to wake up, then in that case, like immediately, the astral body is going to receive that information and is going to enter back in the physical, and then we wake up. That is what happens every day, right? And when it occurs, if it is like in a very abrupt or a quick way, the person feels like for moments like a vibration in the whole body, similar to that experienced when the detachment process is taking place when we are falling asleep. Now, the big question is, why don't we become aware of this process every time that we fall asleep? And it is precisely because of how asleep our consciousness currently is. Although unfolding is a natural process and we do it every night, the vast majority of people do it unconsciously. And the purpose of talking about this topic and teaching these techniques is so that we can develop the ability to make this whole process but something conscious, that we start being able to realize when this unfolding process occurs, and that we no longer simply pass through the world of dreams or the astral plane, as we have been doing all the time, completely fascinated and asleep in the unconsciousness and projecting there our unconscious desires and thoughts and emotions, or to mechanically go to the world of dreams, projecting like the same things that we mechanically do during the day to continue doing them during the sleep, right? And the point is that we begin to become conscious and that we learn to move at will in the astral plane. And for what purpose? Well, it turns out that in the astral plane, as we find ourselves in the world of eternity there, we can carry out very important investigations in relation to, of course, our inner work. And we can there connect directly with the higher parts of our consciousness, also with self-realized masters, yes, who can give us guidelines, directions, and we can also visit places. And as we begin the process of self-observation and work of the psychological depth, we begin to unfold towards our psychology, and we can there investigate and understand the details that make up all of our ego, all of our psychological eyes. And we can see there also the advances that we are having in our inner work, both in the advances in the physical death and the advances in the process of purification and the ascent of our sexual creative energy towards our spine, and many more things related to our spiritual development. And something that we must rule out, if we really want to master this conscious astral projection practice, are many concepts or beliefs that are based on the ignorance of this, that say that there are dangers in the astral projection. For example, there really is no additional danger to the one that we have run every time that we have gone asleep, during every time throughout our existence, since doing this process in a conscious way doesn't make it any more dangerous at all, but quite the opposite. And the only danger that we can face every time that we have gone to sleep are in relation to the theft of that someone can come and try to steal our energy. That both external entities to us and internal entities like our ego are all the time attempting to steal our sexual energy. Such as when we, for example, have nightmares, and through fear, they absorb from us a lot of energy, or when they steal our sexual energy, and this occurs through the sleep paralysis, that occurs through the fourth dimension, or directly through erotic dreams or dark scenes in dreams, as we were talking in the lecture 46. But all of those beliefs that if you unfold, you can get lost there, or that someone else can enter your body, or that you can return like upside down, that is something that people say, and any of the many concepts which only serve to prevent us from developing this important practice are completely false and unfounded. We always return to our physical body attracted by the silver cord, and because of that union, no one else can enter our body. So the important thing is that we start practicing until we achieve it. All of us, absolutely all of us, have the possibility of consciously projecting ourselves to the astral plane. For some, yes, it is easier than for others because they have developed the ability in past lives, or even some have already created a solar astral body in past lives, and probably this has even happened to them, this of astrally unfolding themselves at some point consciously, like at some point in their life, when they have come out of their body and have been surprised by this possibility of doing this consciously. But even if it has never happened to you before, or it doesn't work out for you on the first few attempts, you must continue practicing with discipline and perseverance until you achieve it, because it's totally possible for everyone. And something important is to break all of those misconceptions that we have, that if it is difficult or that if it is dangerous, because these concepts, they will block us to be able to make conscious something that happens to us daily in a natural but unconsciously way. Okay, and well, having explained this, let's recap, since we saw it in detail in lecture 3, some of the techniques that exist to achieve conscious astral projection. These are just some of them, of many that exist. And the first is by concentration. And this technique consists on concentrating on something. It can be, for example, concentrating on our breathing process, or on the beating of our heart, or on the objective that we want to achieve in the astral plane, and not letting thoughts, emotions, or sensations distract us from what we are concentrating on. Whatever appears, we just let it pass, let it go. We don't pay attention to that, and we maintain concentration until we feel the symptoms of unfolding. That is the first technique. The second technique is with the imagination, and with this technique we imagine a scenario, for example, seeking to consciously move to that scenario by unfolding ourselves. For example, we vividly imagine a place, the most detailed and vividly that we can imagine it, and we maintain consciousness in that imagination until we fall asleep, and we appear consciously unfolded in that place. Another way to use imagination to unfold ourselves is to imagine an element that can help us to leave the physical body, such as imagining, for example, that a rope comes out of a circle of light above us, and we imagine that we are holding onto that rope and climbing. Until when the physical body falls asleep, the astral body literally begins to climb this rope, and thus we unfold. And in this way, we can also use the conscious imagination to move into the astral plane. And another technique is the sleep vigilance or the sleep vigil. And this is very good for people who fall asleep very easily, since it consists of being attentive to all the symptoms that the body is experiencing while falling asleep and managing to observe how, when entering the dream, certain sounds begins to be heard and vivid images begin to appear in movement. And at that moment, we make the effort of consciously entering in that movie that is being projected. And in that way, we remain conscious in the astral plane, and from there, we can move at will to pursue our objective. And another good technique is by practicing the psychological death. That allows us not only to unfold ourselves, but only to liberate consciousness and help us to remain in a state of conscious awareness. Then, just as during the day, we should be asking our Divine Mother to eliminate every psychological defect that we discover through self-observation, be it in our thoughts, in our emotions, in attention, in the body, any sensation, etc. That in order to maintain ourselves aware, concentrated, living in the present moment, living the here and now, being aware of ourselves all the time. Also, if we keep doing this practice when we are about to fall asleep, to move to the astral plane, then we will have very, very good results. And the last technique, and the one that we are going to detail in today, is by chanting mantras. This technique is usually it's highly effective because, as I said at the beginning, it will allow us to more easily perceive the symptoms of unfolding, because each of these mantras has a specific vibration that will help us in this process, in this unfolding process. And today we're going to talk about 5 mantras, although there are really many mantras to unfold. But let's say that these are the most effective ones. And one is the mantra Faraón. The second is the mantra La Ras. Another mantra that we can use to unfold ourselves is the mantra O, the sound O. Also the sound of the letter R, like R, or the sound of the letter S, like S. These are sounds that can help us to unfold ourselves. We are going to see how each one should be pronounced. I'm going to explain that to you right now. And something that is very important to keep in mind is that we should use only one mantra per practice, since each one of these mantras has a different vibration, and we shouldn't mix them. If the next day or another time during the night, for example, we wake up and there we are going to practice as the astral projection again, we can choose another mantra, but not during the same practice. And a very important point is that we shouldn't lengthen the mantra too much when we are pronouncing it, but do it for a maximum of 6 seconds, which is more or less like the duration of the natural exhalation, right? And with this in mind, let's quickly see the steps or review the steps for the astral projection. Remember that the first thing is, and this is important, always before going to bed, to do the belly link conjuration and the magic circle that we learned in the lecture 7. And If some of you don't know that those protection conjurations, you can come here in the page or the channel and look for that video, the video number 7 of the phase A. And this is very important for us to protect our physical body, as I was saying, from any attempt to disturb or to steal our energy by entities external to us. And the next thing is always to ask for assistance and guidance from our inner Father and our Divine Mother, so that the higher parts of our consciousness are the ones who direct us during the practice and help us to be successful in the practice. And well, this point is actually very important, so that we are there, like we have a good guidance. And at that moment we can put, let me check something here. Allow me just a second. I'm very sorry. Okay, now yes, right. Okay, and at that moment when we just ask for assistance, we can put in our hearts 3 times the objective that we will pursue in the astral. This point is also very important because when we are unfolded, we need to remember, and if we repeat our objective 3 times, it will be like more easily for us that once we are unfolded to remember what specific information we want to look for in the astral plane, and we don't remain like wandering there and losing the state of consciousness and begin to dream. Okay, and then what we do is a good relaxation. We begin by relaxing our mind. We do so by seeking to listen for a moment to the sounds that are around us. But we don't become identified with any sound, but rather we listen to sound and we let it go and seek each time for more distant sounds. And in that way, when trying to listen to different sounds, we experience how the mind becomes silent and the mind calms down. And then we go to relax the emotion. We need to be very relaxed when attempting to unfold ourselves. And to relax our emotions, what we do is that we breathe. We inhale slowly and lengthily through the nose, holding a little, and exhaling through the mouth in a quick and a short way. Okay? Retain. That way, you are going to experience how all that emotional pressure start coming out, and you are going to experience a relaxation in your emotion. And then we go to relax our physical body, imagining how a bright light invades each part of our body and relax it. And then we can order, when we already relax each part of our body, we can order our physical body to relax and to calm down. And we can repeat this relaxation process of the physical body about 3 times until we feel that we are well relaxed. Being properly relaxed guarantees us success in any of the techniques that we use, because it will allow us to more easily concentrate and to more easily feel the symptoms. Okay? Although if we are people who fall asleep very easily, it is not advisable to extend ourselves too much in relaxation. So there everyone is going to measure it. And after we are well relaxed, then we begin, in the case of the technique, by chanting mantras to pronounce the mantra that we choose for that practice. If we, for example, choose to use the mantra Pharaon, we begin to mantralize it, lengthening each syllable, while we imagine the shape of a pyramid on our forehead. And we concentrate with our closed eyes on that pyramid, and we mantralize the Pharaon out loud several times. And then we continue chanting the mantra in a silent voice, extending the mantra, remember, for like around 6 seconds, and not doing it so loud, because the point is to call the sleepy process, the dream. And after pronouncing the mantra out loud several times, so you start feeling like the vibration, we begin to lower our voice until we continue mentally pronouncing the mantra while we feel the unfolding symptoms. This mantra is pronounced like this. After about 10 times out loud, you start lowering your voice until you continue saying it mentally. And you are going to do so until you feel the symptoms. I'm going to talk to you about the symptoms now. Any symptoms of unfolding, and while you feel like the symptom is very big, then you check if you are already unfolded. I'm going to explain right now that. And if instead of the pharaoh, we are going to do the practice with the larras, is also a very good mantra. We with this concentrate here, and the point between the eyebrows, and we can imagine like a light there, and we do the mantra. We can be a purple light, for example, here, and we start chanting larras with the sound of the S at the end. I don't know if you can hear the S. Larras. Inhale. Larras. You say that out loud several times. You start lowering the voice until you continue mentally. Or you can do so with the mantra O, sound O, and this concentrated in the heart. This is very good for those who don't fall asleep easily, because it is a mantra that makes you fall asleep like very quick. And you just start chanting like O. Concentrate it in your heart. Inhale. O. You're going to start feeling like if you are falling asleep. On the other hand, for those, or you can do it with the also, the the same, concentrated in the heart. That is another good mantra. You remain concentrated there in the and you lower your voice, continue mentally, and there, concentrated. You're going to quickly start feeling the unfolding symptoms. That for people who don't fall asleep easily are very good. You can try it anyway. It is recommended for people who don't fall asleep easily. And on the other hand, for those who fall asleep very easily, the mantra, the sound R is recommended. And this concentrated here in the larynx, you mentalize like quickly. You're going to start feeling the vibrations in your whole body. And the thing, you just let that vibration to grow, and you lower and lower your voice, continue mentally. And finally, a mantra that we can use is the sound of the letter S, like S. Just as like as mothers instinctively know that this sound like calms down and sleep babies, and they came and rock them while doing S. It is a very good mantra to unfold, and we do it concentrating on the point between the eyebrows also, and we mantralize like you're going to start feeling like if you are being rocked. And we are going to do this mantra until we unfold. And the first thing that we are going to feel is a symptom when doing any of the mantra that will indicate that the detachment process is taking place. So you can feel any of these symptoms. You can feel, for example, that your body swell. You can feel that. Or you can feel that you float. Or you can feel like if you are being rocked gently, okay? Or you can feel like if your legs or arms start lifting and start floating. You can feel that is a symptom of the astral unfolding. Or you can feel a small jolt, maybe in your spine. You can feel a whole vibration in your body. You can feel that you are spinning at a high speed. That is another symptom. Or you can start hearing a noise next to the ears, like a pitch. That is another unfolding symptom. And when we feel any of these symptoms, what we need to do is never getting scared, never, or getting excited, but we continue applying the technique until the symptom increases, like a lot. When we feel that the symptom has like increased enough, then we gently get out of bed and we check if we are already unfolded. How? By jumping with intention to float, and if you remain floating, it's because you are already unfolded. Or you can check by stretching your finger, any finger or your hair, for example, with the intention of making it stretch. And if you do so, it's because you are already unfolded. Or you can try going through something, like entering your hand through the wall, for example. And if you achieve it, it's because you are already unfolded. And if you are unfolded and you remember your objectives and you ask your inner being, there, you direct that request to your heart, to your inner being, for him to guide you towards the objective. And if you check and if you are not already unfolded, what you do is that you return to bed and you continue with the technique that you are using until you success on the practice. And it is good to remember not to extend the mantra more than 6 seconds on each exhalation, and make it soft as not to repel the sleep. And once we say the mantra for maybe 10 times, for example, you start lowering the voice until you continue doing in the mind. And remember to use only one mantra per practice, okay? And well, practice and practice. Practice makes perfect, okay? And practice with a lot of patience and perseverance. And well, people, this has been the topic of today. I hope that this information contributes and it is useful to you to achieve and to improve your conscious unfolding capacity. And well, I will invite you to our next topic that we are going to be seeing next Friday. A super interesting topic, one of my favorites actually, and it is called duality. And in that topic, we will talk about the purpose of our existence and the 10 steps that we must take to achieve the intimate self-realization of our being. So this has been all for today. Thank you very much to all of you who have joined us during this self-knowledge course. And well, see you then next time. Ciao, ciao.